Hello and welcome to the Wild Woman Way podcast. It is a podcast for women to step into their full wildness and also to discover and hear about the stories of women who have rewilded themselves and really looking at what does it take to leave the patterns, the programs, the conditioning of modern culture and patriarchy to live authentically wild. And we're here today with Natrishka, who is a sacred rebel, rest warrior, mama, jungle woman, taking a stand for so many different things in the world. And when I, yeah, when I see you, the first thing that comes to me is I want to ask you about what does it mean to rebel against the system, and what is your rebellion? This is also something that we've talked about, and I know this is part of I know this is a word you use in your work a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel connected to it, and I love it because I'm also a rebel. So I'm like, yes, what does this really mean? And is it about setting fire to things, or how are you rebelling against it, and how have you used your rebellious nature consciously or unconsciously to live your truth?
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me with all the wild women here, and totally my vibe, Wild Woman Rebellion. And I think it has started from the very beginning of my conception from my parents to be rebellious. And my parents are both, we're all born in South Africa, Durban, South Africa, in apartheid. So the time in which brown skinned people couldn't enter different spaces, and it was very much classified in color of white, colored, Indian, African. And I remember my grandma saying, you can't go to this store, but you can go to this store. And, everything was segregated, the schools, the religion, everything was in segregation. And my parents, because there was this fine line. So Indian people, my dad is South Indian, were indentured workers. They were slaves with some paperwork, coming from the south of India. So here we have Black people being stolen from their land, taken to another place, and then there's no more people to work. So they're taking other people here, right? So the Indian people had this space of, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, serving the colonizers that were so now here's the Indian people not in their home but serving other people, and they're having this kind of semi-safety. And then African people being taken to other countries and also being discriminated in their own homeland. And so my parents as rebels would go and test the boundaries at that time. They were young teenagers, and people would say, oh, you're welcome to go to this place to eat or to dance, or this place to eat or to dance, but no, you really couldn't. So they would go to places and kind of test the boundaries. And we were the first people in our family, large family, to leave South Africa. And even at that time, that's a rebellious act. My parents used their education to leave South Africa, and then we went to Fresno State, California, and my dad had a track scholarship there. So I had this transition of South African ideologies and culture and flavor, and also discrimination, and then coming into America at the 80s, which was a very rebellious time too, of Public Enemy and sounds and words and an uprising of voice and Black culture. So even just today, you asked me, what's alive for you? And I was like, I'm fucking alive, because I'm upset, I'm angry, and I'm curious, because I'm not Black enough, I'm not white enough, I'm not Indian enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. Then who am I? Oh, you're exotic, you're ethnic, like who are you? Ooh, like blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, it's irritating. And so I feel like who I am at this moment wants to be even more rebellious. I want to be even more rebellious in how I share my work, because I feel like I'm playing on the edge of Black African American and global African culture, and also white culture, and a lot of my clients, and here I am in a Latin American country serving majority white individuals from Europe and Canada and America. And then here I am in the middle. It's kind of like I'm back in South Africa, like, like this separation and segregation, and me connecting with so many sides. So I'm in the heart of deep rebellion. And I made a post yesterday about yoni steaming, and how yoni steaming is a rebellious act and why it's a rebellious act. And for me, it's a rebellious act because it's taking back our sovereignty to our wombs and our womb health, because the foundation of gynecology in the Western world was based upon enslaved women, Black women, and their bodies. And the studies and the papers on the history of this is just heartbreaking, because at one point they're speaking of the strength, the power, the wow, the wonder of this Black woman's body as it's navigating to help other people's bodies, and at the same time her body is shunned and put down. So it's like not honoring, but like praising and deep punishment and pain and torture and abuse. And, when you think about the history of gynecology over the years, women of color, doesn't matter if you're Black, different shades of brown, whatever it is, there's stigma, there's prejudice, there's lack of deep nurturing care. And I wouldn't even just say in the space of this color. I think for a lot of women, we've experienced men not listening to the truth of our bodies, and having a man tell us about our womb. And so when I yoni steam, it is me saying, I am now connecting to my higher self, to my womb, and what I am feeling at this moment. Because I'm sure we've all been in a doctor's office and we're like, no, this is what's going on. No, listen to me, right? And that is why one of the things is it is a rebellious act, because when I am sitting there and taking care of myself, I am remembering the ancient ones that didn't have a choice at that time, did not have any choice, and their bodies were used in the name of science to create a system that still harms the wombs of women. So it's taking that back, and even just putting the herbs in the pot. It's herbs in the pot for steam, for our yonis. Yes, it's herbs in the pot for a tea, for our food, for all of the things, for our beauty products, but just the herbs itself is connecting to the root of so many lineages and generations of women, no matter where they are on this world. And yoni steaming with hot water or smoke or even poultices, I mean, it has no classification of it's a woman's practice. Doesn't matter where you are on this globe. When we use herbs to heal our womb, when we're drinking tea, when we're doing wraps and poultices, when we're doing dry smoke and steams, it's all linked back to earth. Yes. So that is what I feel is a rebellious act. And I call myself a restorative yoga rebel, because I think rest is a rebellious act as well, because we both know and we've experienced, that push to create, to be, to continue on. And that is the patriarchy, that is the industrial way that this society has been created upon. And so to take time to listen to yourself, to rest, to touch base with your own nervous system. And even the podcast I was listening to last night about the neuroscientist, she's speaking of, like when you're even working, and that our brain needs variety, and that inspires us as humans to grow. And here, this culture has created workspaces for us to just diminish ourselves, to dumb down, to be stagnant. And therefore, yeah, a lot of people are not happy because we're not allowing ourselves to have these moments of exploration, creativity, and progress. And why we're only leaving progress for certain genre of people, of CEOs and this type of individual. When person that's checking out your groceries in the grocery store, they want progress, they want change, they want variety. And I feel that as I move on in my desire for progress in my work, I need to take a rebellious stand and a wild woman stance. And today is actually the beginning of my 12th year here in Nosara, Costa Rica. And so in my 12 years, well, it's been 12 years. It's actually 13 years, but I left for a year, so it's 12 years. When I first came, the work that I did, I wasn't a yoni steamer at that time. Everything that I did was rebellious, and people talked shit about me. All those people talk shit about me because they didn't know what I did, and they didn't understand, and they just thought about sex and sexuality as prostitution in any form, And now here we are, and how many people are tantra explorers and teachers and womb healers and ceremony womb guides. It's like Amazon.com. Like you can get anything, anywhere, anytime here in Osara. And now it doesn't have that stigma, but now there's a rebellious act of truth and authenticity, and really not taking advantage of people, and really wanting to be steadfast in really truly helping people feel their wholeness, and that they're not wrong or broken or something they have to continuously being paying into. Like I really, to have a good job, I need to work myself out of my job. I've heard that saying before, you don't, yes, people will continue to come back to you, but like kind of want to work yourself out of a job so there's not that challenge anymore. And I'm feeling that I want to change. I want to progress.
Mm. Thank you so much for all of that. I just receiving you and feeling you and hearing you, it was absolutely like a portal into another dimension of what's possible. And yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, so what is the progression that you want for yourself?
My progression for myself is to tip the scales in the financial space. I want more women of color to have great wealth and to feel great worth in what they do with their lives. And we need the scales to tip as we see the world right now, and all of this it's so full. It's so full. It's like you put so much water in this water balloon, and like you don't even need a pin to poke it. Like it's gonna burst at any moment, with the genocide happening in Palestine and the Congo and Sudan, and you know, we can speak about all political things, but it's bringing up, right? It's bringing things up to the surface. And here we are, first day of Sagittarius season, and then, you know, looking back at Scorpio season and the whole like scorpionic like year, really.
Yeah.
It's like cleaning everything out from under, all the dust bunnies out, right? And now here it is, like this focus time. And I think like, okay, here all the stuff is coming out, and so many women of color standing up for Palestine and the genocide. It's not like just a yesterday thing. It's a very like long-term thing that people have been educated about for a long time. But what I find so interesting is like, well, people are like, well, you can't forget about this, you can't forget about that, right? And they're bringing in all of these things. Okay, yes, clean out all the stuff from under there, clean it all out, and then seeing where the money is coming from, right? Seeing all of these lines of money of the government systems, which are majority of men, and there's this desire of boycotting, right? Boycotting Starbucks, boycotting all of these American huge corporations that are funding or giving money to, or even another company that is giving money to I'm so not good with political terms, but the people that are running for office and presidentship and all that kind of stuff in the States, right? They're giving money to these different people. So it's all like, our money is our power. And I mean, even just in energetics, when we talk about, you know, money, sex, our personal energy, money is energy, sex is energy. And here we are in this freaking insane time of sex and money and energy. And you know, women are rising up and speaking about, you know, all of the political sides of this. And then there's the action, and here we are, Sagittarius season, action is happening, and the desire to boycott. And so that is like where I stand right now. It's like our money, it's our money, it's our money, it's our energy, it's our bodies, it's our sexuality. And now how do we all want to step forward, right? How are we choosing to step forward? Some people are seeing, some people are not seeing. And I remember one woman on Instagram was saying, you know, we think this great awakening is going to happen in like this like whimsical like super like high vibe festival or something. But no, it's happening through fucking torture, murder, suffering. So we really fucking wake the fuck up. And the shitty part is, it's like there's been so much suffering in our life's experience that we don't want to turn a blind, like to make it regular. Like, okay, that's not a hot topic anymore. What's the rest? Because that's what has happened with the Congo, I believe, and Sudan. And because there's been so many years of Africa and Palestine too, but like, you know, starvation, different things of Africa, that now it's been like in people's mind that they don't even register it anymore. Like it's just like habituated is the word that I learned yesterday, about our brain and habituation. And that when we hear things over and over, our brain just, it won't like connect to go deeper into it. Like we just take that truth and like kind of move on. And here we have Palestine and all of those things happening at this time, and it's like a hot topic, and it's been a month. But what about next month? What about the next month after that? What about the next month after that? Because I can see also on Instagram, like people dropping off, right? It's like, yes, we want to post and give information every day, but sadly, the minds of the majority, we're just so used to catching on to what's new and our dopamine receptors of wanting this. So we've created a society, and like as I'm speaking out of like not absolutely caring for us in long-term ways. Like we care, but then there's fucking hard work to do. there's like long-term hard work to do. All the years it has taken us to get to this place right now, like, how are we going to be moving forward? And it is with our money, and that is the rebellious act, you know, how we choose to use our money. I was on Amazon last night, which I didn't want to be, but I wanted to order something for my daughter, the skin product, and then I Googled where it came from and and I'm like, fuck, I can't fucking buy that product, you know, because I want to make sure, like, you know, where is my money going? Okay, it's not going to go to this company. I won't even buy my daughter these bag of chips at the corner store because I'm like, nope, that money is connected to there. Nope, not gonna buy this bag of fucking chips.
Yeah.
That's another rebellious act, is boycotting.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a really amazing, like right now, tangible thing that anyone can do in this moment. And really like what I feel what you're sharing is about like having the power within yourself to do something and actually doing it.
Yeah.
And however like small it may seem, or like, you know, like a yoni steam, it's like, okay, yoni steam, but then really it's actually such a big, it's this, it's a moment in time, it's, you know, an hour of your time, but it's really this, it is an act of rebellion that's imprinting a new level of responsibility about our bodies and ourselves, like just starting with yourself and really owning that that you are responsible, like, and how can you claim that?
Yeah.
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 And go ahead.
Go.
When I notice when women steam with rosemary, the herb of remembering, there's this remembering of
Oh,
her occurs, and you know, some women cry, some women don't know how to just sit with themselves in an exposed kind of vulnerable space and feel sensations on their vulva. Steam, gentle steam, it's non-sexual. You know, it's like when we take a bath, we take a shower, like, yeah, we like feel it. Maybe if you're like putting the head of the shower on you, you're gonna feel it, but like it's a different experience, and it opens up this vulnerability to feel deeply. And I've been doing like my own work of like investigating myself and my work of my purpose, and I was listening to Dr. Shelly Ann, a Trinidadian woman, um, and she was speaking on like how to find your purpose. And she was like, sometimes we think we're in our purpose, but we're just in our passions. And she's like, think about your purpose and like your daily things that you do, regardless. Your what was the word she used? Your, let me look in my notes here. She said your roles. What are your roles that you just, things that you just do, right? You got to feed the pig. I got to feed the animals. I got to feed the fur babies, right? Um, and then what are your passions? So I made a list of all my roles. I made a list of all my passions. And then she said, then find the commonalities of that, right? Find the commonalities of that. And then what I found in my commonalities: breath, presence, learning, enjoying life in balance, art, exploring. Um, and this is what I wrote: my passions are the practice of my purpose. My purpose is to support people in feeling deeply, connecting them to their anchor. And so even just in the yoni steaming, like making feeling deeply so they are connected to their anchor. What is their anchor? Their dantian, their sacral chakra, their root, like anchored to their center, anchored to their values and their truth. And from their values, our root, our truth, our sacrum, here we have our solar plexus, then we can shine in our will. You know, I shine effortlessly. Like that's where that, you know, I've worked with so many women over the years, and a lot of, you know, high achieving women, their solar plexus is just like cashed out, like just like overdrive, masculine. We've had those, the last, I guess, 9 years of body work. I have met so many women with this like firing off, and only in the last year have I seen the subsiding of that, because a lot of women have been addressing, and I want to go into a softer space. I want to feel, I want to drop down into my sacrum. I want to drop down into my sacral chakra, the kidneys, water element here, right? And not just, not everybody, but I've seen more like now, like the lingo, the words, it's like out there more, right?
Mm.
And yeah, so ponderings,
Wow.
ponderings of, yeah.
Wow. So you're saying so much. It's like um touching on so much of this like current paradigm that's happening right now, and I see how the way in which you continue to like do your own work and like refine yourself, and how powerful this makes you as a space holder for the work that you do, like that you're really in tune with yourself as a space holder. And yeah, I just wanted to say like being with you and witnessing you hold space for me and other people is like the integrity that you bring to these spaces, like because these topics are really like important and they're really deep, and it's not like, oh, whatever, just sexuality, like. And I just want to thank you for like doing this and being a stand for like the integrity of this work that has really gotten like everyone everywhere is doing it.
Mhm.
And yeah, just really feeling like how oh, yeah. How much the integrity, yeah, it's the authenticity of it is really like super needed.
Thank you. And yes, so coming back to your question of like, well, where is my progressing? So I was talking about my purpose, and where am I growing with this? And a lot of people are doing it, and it's not just about the sexual, right? Like I really think like the neo tantra world, um, and I've even like had to say to some clients like, that's my lid. Like I can't give you any more because I'm not going into that space of um, play parties or holding like physical sexual containers for other people. I really believe all is welcome. I totally love all eroticism and playtime experiences and setup, but I'm really about the art of love making, and I can hold and I can give you the things needed to support you that in that space. But I don't want to be an exploiting or like over consumption of that space.
Mm.
And that's the main focus of that space. And with that being said, like I told myself, I'm going to stop my sacred sexuality, like sex ed reinvented practice. And I just keep on getting people like, no, but we want to learn. No. Like, okay, like, fine. Like I help this couple, the couples, they just keep on popping in, but I'm really staying grounded to my scope
Mm.
practice. And it really is about feeling deeply. It really is about honoring where you are in that space. And then it comes into where my progress lies is in this realm of touch. And I
Mm.
really want to, because I have been a body worker for over 10 years, Reiki master, whatever it is, like really in Japan, like a friend of mine, I think you know her too, Coco Niwa. I used to do Reiki level 1 and level 2 trainings, and she took those trainings, and then she was asking her grandma and her, I think even just other people in her community, and they're like, "What's with all these symbols and stuff?" Because really, there was only like 3 or a couple of symbols when Dr. Usui was, documenting and creating it, Choco Ray and the other 2 symbols. But now there's like all of these symbols, all these bells and whistles and stuff. And she's just like, no, it's just your hands. That's just it. It's just you, your breath, and you don't need any all these bells and whistles and everything like that. And I think when I started doing Vipassana in 2016, I took away all crystals and tarot cards and Reiki and symbols and everything. And I did my work like that with just no talismans, nothing but yourself. And so yeah, in my body work, I really am fascinated by touch. And then in my restorative practice, watching people in stillness and how pressure points or different very light adjustments, welcome in breath, right? And so in 2020, I started doing microdose massages with women in my clients that I've had for a long term, the women that were dealing with deep grief and sexual trauma, and that wanted to start to open their body to receiving pleasure, but didn't know how to address that in a safe way. So offered a very, very small microdose to one client that just whenever she would get a massage, she'd just be like stick straight, and you can just see her head just running. And then just that little drop microdose, just the softening of the physical form to allow to receive and feel the breath. And then I just started exploring in that way. And then when things started to open up, like I guess 2 years after COVID, I just said, you know what? I just want to do microdose massage. I don't want to do my regular stuff. I really want to focus in on that. So it's been 3 years of deep dive into psilocybin and touch. And so my next adventure is to share this. And I want to share this with women of color, well, all women, but I want, just like coming back to my other thing of like money, like when people are like, well, what do you really want to do for the world? I don't want women like me to suffer anymore in that financial space. I want support and I want help, and I want to be that support for, I'd like to call myself an independent mama instead of a single mama, like just, and even I want to change that word now too, like, because even just a space of like independent, I'm independent, no, I've had to take the reins. I've had to be that one, and support is needed. So what do I call myself? I don't want to call myself a single mother because there's so much stigma with that term. I don't want to call myself an independent mother anymore because it doesn't allow for support. So who am I in that space? I am a mother walking alone in this global village, creating those pockets of support along the way. And I want to support other women in having those pockets of support, and especially financially, because I do believe when women hold wealth, we serve our community first. I think, I don't know if you know about We Day. We Day is this Canadian big organization that donates to a lot of places in the world. But just on their statistics, when a woman in the community makes money, that community thrives. She gives within her network, and with this whole entire money thing that's happening, of money going out, and even just our resources and just everything, it all comes back to that community. And just even like we spoke about this morning about community, right? And I have a 15-year-old daughter, and we need that. We need community. I cannot raise this child on my own, and I have been for the longest time. And my massage therapy practice has supported me, has saved my fucking life to, these hands. But if my daughter's sick, these hands go over there. If I'm sick, these hands go over here. So there's a ceiling of amount of work these hands can do. And with this type of work, the psilocybin supported massage, I do not exploit it. I only do a certain amount a week. Sometimes I don't even do them every week, you know, it's like very specific to the client. And I don't just take anybody, you have to have an intake form, da, 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 da. And so I want to train other women to give this type of work. So I'm going to go on a Dose of Touch tour, the Dose of Touch tour.
Oh my God.
And yes, and I want to share with women, and I feel like the whole world needs a fucking dose, right? The whole world needs some fucking mushrooms, and they need a fucking hug. And like this whole thing, I remember the earthquake in Haiti. I think it was a year after. My daughter was a toddler, and I was in this basement suite in Vancouver, BC, like fucking struggle, you know? And I was watching on TV a documentary of Haiti and the aftermath, because so many kids, everybody went to camps, right? There was nowhere for people to go, and a lot of people were separated from their families, and children were coming to the orphanage, but they were now giving children back that actually did have family and relatives, like that were really not truly orphaned. But when they went to their family, their auntie, their sister, their long lost cousin, or whatever, the way that they were received was with no touch, no hug, nothing. And my heart just was like, I'm like watching the TV, like, hold her, touch her. Like, you could see this child just like, makes me want to cry right now, like just yearning for a hand, right? And it's like, they actually want the child to stay in the orphanage because they have nothing to give the child, you know? And, just culturally, like I didn't grow up in a place that was very, very touchy and love, and my daughter, it's like, I really give that to her. So the art of touch, the power of touch is so freaking powerful, so needed in our society, our culture, no matter what your love language is, that I want to be the MC of touch, a touch master. And I feel like I am. And, one of the things that who I am as an individual, I'm touching everybody with consent. And like, even the tuk-tuk driver, I'm like, dude, boss, I'm like massaging his back. And, I put my hand on your shoulder. I'm here. I'm feeling you. Like, wow, how did you find that? Because my hands are listening. My hands are feeling. And it's my fucking superpower, And it's so funny because I think other parents will understand when I say this. Whatever you do, your child does not want to have, like whatever is your thing, your child wants to do the opposite of it. And at the same time, that's what she needs for her healing and what she's going through. And I'm very, very delicately supporting her in that by really gentle touch and just even the signs of touch and the nerve endings on our physical body, like the difference of our lips to this finger, to this skin here, to the skin on our nipples, like different parts of the body have different nerve endings that pick up different things. And if a part of the brain is shut off, we're going to receive it differently. We're going to completely receive it differently or not at all. So it's like, okay, here we have the skin, which is associated with the lungs, our breath, right, of presence and attention, the skin, the nerves, to the brain. And then from the brain, it goes into an exact feeling or an emotion, right? It goes into emotion. The feeling is the right now present moment, but the emotion is connected to that experience, the past, right? That, okay, I'm right here, I can feel my left hip is strained because I've just been sitting with my knee bent, right? That's my real time feeling. But then in my emotion, I can be like, oh, I remember when I injured that hip, right? So that's the path that I am understanding and learning of how touch is so connected to our presence, to our healing, to our past emotions. And so if someone is coming to heal that space, or even in a sexual experience, someone cannot even be there. They don't even feel, they cannot even receive pleasure, because that touch is wired to a past experience, or they're not present in their breath or in their observations, or like, how am I reading that pleasure? How am I talking to my nervous system with that pleasure?
Oh, so much yes to what you're saying. It's so clear that touch was like, was so taboo, and it is still in Western culture. Like it's this thing that it's like people don't do, and if you do, then it's inappropriate. And so it just wasn't like a part of, at least for me, like growing up, it wasn't really a part of. It was kind of this like weird thing that clearly we all needed and wanted, but like it was somehow not okay.
Yeah.
And I really love that you're taking a stand for this in this way. And like, yeah, it's just such a shift in humanity for parents to be raising children that are being held and touched, and for couples and people and friends to be relating and like holding each other and being together. It's like, yeah, and how triggering this can be for some people. Yeah, like I heard someone say once, I don't like massages. And I was like, what? And then I really like let the person speak and really kind of just was curious, like what's really going on. And it's basically just like that they were never held as a child. They were put in a crib, they're put in a crib. And so when they get touched, it just brings up this emotion from the past, and it's like they hadn't processed that. So there's just so much work to do, and through the realm of the body and the somatic and the hands. And yes, to like a woman being financially empowered, offering this kind of healing, this kind of work, and being supported for this like insane gift that it is, and real magic, like a real mastery. Yeah. So when's the tour starting, and where are you
Sure.
going?
Well, this is how I'm going to do it. Um, it's going to be a 4-month online module. And then we're going to do either it's going to be Costa Rica, Vancouver Island, Vancouver, BC, Toronto, maybe Mexico City. So that's where the retreat will be. And then we have a 6-month or a year follow up in the physical space. So it's like going to be a year container, but we're doing the online theory, anatomy, and like being connected, right? But a lot of the work is also preparing yourself to hold that space, right? And I know that there's a lot of psilocybin trainings and psychedelics trainings at this time. And it seems to be quite segregated in who is getting those medical certifications, and there's a separation happening already. And so I want to be open and to not create doors for women of color wanting to enter that space, that they don't have to be a psychologist, they don't have to have all of these certificates to enter that space, that you can start from ground zero and enter this space, and we can educate you into this space. And also as a mama, I'm hoping, I connect with other independent, or what are we calling them, community open mothers, or I gotta work on my term here. I'm not a single mama, I'm not an independent mama, I am a global mama. I don't know what it is, but I'm working on that one. But and it doesn't mean that if you're not a mother, you don't have that power of touch. So it doesn't have to be focused on mothers, but just holding space so that we can have a strong line for integrity before we even move into financial liberation. So it's going to be online work for yourself first, then coming into education. And I really want this tribe to be so grounded in how we move forward. It's not going to be like, oh, I got this certificate, now I'm certified, and da, da, da. No, I don't want any freaking cheesiness, nothing. It has to be so like rebellious, like warriors. Like, this is a mission, yes, of finance, but it's beyond that. It is to crumble the patriarchy. It is to say fuck everything around me. I am growing my empire here now, so I can grow nice and tall and look above all of this bullshit. And, I don't even know what that even looks like yet, but I know that this is where my progress is going. And so it is the dose of touch. I'm going to be starting at the end of December, just sharing it and then putting it out. And then through May, I want May to be the first one in Costa Rica. And just a little offering to your people out there, whoever's going to be watching, I'm offering a 21-day free constructive rest challenge. Constructive rest is a restorative yoga pose that also is used in the dance world, chiropractic, and Pilates world. It's a very simple posture, but for 21 days, we're going to practice this for 5 to 15 minutes a day. It's through my WhatsApp. So if you go to my Instagram, Natrishka at Instagram, and in my link tree, you'll just press, there's an information button, and then there's just like a connect immediately button. And so December 1st will start for 21 days. And once you subscribe, then you will like be in the know of the Dose of Touch tour. Or if you come to Nosara, you can receive a psilocybin supported massage. And if you want any more information, you can reach out. But like I'm going to start to promote that at the end of the year for the beginning 2024. And yeah, it's going to go Costa Rica, Vancouver Island, Vancouver, Toronto, Mexico City, and I would love to come out to Portugal and Spain because the psilocybin laws there. Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Amazing. I can help you. Yeah. Like, please come. I call the people.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Okay, amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna put all of this information, I'll type it up and put it in the notes so people have it. And yes, I 1,000,000% recommend joining every single thing Natrishka is offering. And just do it. And yeah, thank you so much for your time and your fire and your clarity and your power, and for leading the fucking revolution, the rebellious revolution. And yeah, thank you so much.
It's my birthday on Sunday. Sag season. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I'll be 42. I'm gonna go out dancing, eat some food, and celebrate our arrows of direction. So for you and all that are watching, so much love, blessings on your steps forward, and know that your money is powerful, and know how you want to put it and grow it and make it work for you and for all of us.
Yes, amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.